everybody, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Gabriel Brent, and we will be going over the Appazone's weekly forecast. In this weekly forecast, we are looking at the major levels of supply and demand in the different markets, ranging from the indexes, foreign exchange, and a few different stocks and ETFs as well. So let's go ahead and get started here today. First off, let's start with the indexes of the U.S. market, because I'm sure many of you here are familiar with those. So this is the 4-hour time frame. We're going to be looking at 4-hour and daily time frames on most of our charts. So as you can see, we have retested the zone that we had up here at going all the way up to 1846.50, which I believe is the high, and down to about 1835.50. So you can see how that zone has looked over time here, and since the new year we've hit it several times, but we have failed to close above that area and make a new high. So over the past couple days we have seen the market start to plunge here. We are looking at 1777 as far as our first area of demand, as this thing continues to make its move in a very dramatic way. So we will continue to watch that level, but be looking for that level as well as 1758 over here in the next week or so, as we get into the week of January 27th. So that is what we are looking at as far as the two major zones that will be in play, as well as the top zone up there. Moving over to the Dow Futures, we are seeing the same type of thing, except it looks like with the Dow on the 4-hour time frame, it does look like it has made its move back to this area of consolidation and to this zone that we have forming right around that previous area of consolidation. So we are looking to see possibly some type of reaction down here, possibly a move back up to the high, as this price has almost kissed this area to the T. And possibly a little retracement as it retests this previous area of consolidation. With the zones, we are trying to identify areas of consolidation and expansion, just so that we have a good market context to be placing our trades from, as well as areas of interest to be watching. So you'll see a couple chart markers here up at the very top, and I'll get rid of those real quick. But we want to be watching these areas very closely, as it looks like we have failed to break the high on the indexes, and we are looking to the low side. So be watching for this aqua zone as well as this yellow zone, which in the actual indicator system here, the more times price is retested a zone, it'll change the zone different colors. So a brown means that it's been tested 4 or more times. A yellow means that it has been hit twice. Blue and aqua, therefore, and so on and so forth, as they would say. So those are the different colors of the zones, and why we're looking at that. So this would be the money bounce on this aqua zone here, and we will see what happens as price interacts with that level. Moving over to crude oil futures, we've seen that we've kind of tagged the top and the bottom here at $100. That was the money bounce on this 4-hour chart, as well as the low down here on a zone that has been tested multiple times. It looks like we're coming up. We've recently just failed to break the high, and get rid of my chart markers here again. I'm kind of thinking that we may not be done here on the upside, so just looking at a continuation of such, and this, I think this may be a nice little retest. But again, from last week's overlook, I am looking at $99 to $100 as far as possibly areas that we could get back up to. But I think the 4-hour chart does a nice job of identifying the areas of consolidation and telling us, we may see another up push. So let's go ahead and look at the daily time frame just to see what the daily tells us, and maybe it might be a little bit different than this 4-hour time frame. So looking at the daily, it really does look like gives us a little bit of a different picture here. And you can see that we do have a nice bounce up there, and price is coming back up. So again, looking a little bit higher. So this really does look like a little retracement on the daily levels here. Moving over to the euro, this is what our daily picture looks like here. So looks like we found resistance again, and we'll see what happens as price interacts with this blue zone. It's already had its money bounce, so price doesn't necessarily have to hold it here, but we could go ahead and retest the 139 level, and it looks like we also found support right down here. So these will be the levels that I'm watching here on the euro, and we will see what happens as far as the up and coming week. But looking at this big aqua daily zone up just above where we found resistance here back in December 14th. So see if we can't push into this nice aqua level here this coming week. And actually, if we look at the euro on the 4-hour time frame, we do not see that zone just above us because our data on this chart is only set back to 365 days. So that zone, that daily zone, is being pulled from a multiple year setup. However, this 4-hour time frame, I do believe it really does identify this area that we saw bouncing off the daily time frame very, very nicely. You can kind of see how price responded to that brown zone down here. We've already had a money bounce off this area here, so price just came back up and retested the very tip, just kissed it ever so slightly today, and then right back down in kind of an area of consolidation. So we'll see what happens here on the euro. Moving over to the euro pound, you can see our different 4-hour zones here on this chart. Looking at last week, apparently we had identified this area as an interesting level, and I believe the thinking was it could go up or down, but we just need to wait a little bit to see what price told us. So it looks like it went up and didn't found just a little bit of support at this level, and then came crashing on down, made a new low. Looks like we reloaded into the very top of this zone right here, and obviously we're coming back up to retest the like 83 level. So that's kind of how I see things here on the euro, British pound, but I think we should also look at the daily too. On the daily, it looks like we have a little trend line in place here possibly, but it looks like we've definitely made a move from a bigger time frame from the daily perspective. Back in July, it looks like we bounced on this thing, and we've been making new lower highs ever since then. So let's see if we can't find some support down here at the 81 level, but before that we may get another retest of possibly the trend line and the 83. So again, that 83 level just seems to be very important as far as what we're seeing in price action. So Let's continue to watch that level and see what happens as far as resistance or supply up here, and then support or demand down here. Alright, so those are the levels to be watching for this coming week. Looking at the Aussie dollar, we can see that looks like we have a nice little downtrend on the daily time frames. So this bottom zone here has been hit several times, and I wouldn't be surprised for us to go through it. So looking down below that, we can see another level at 84 down to 83.15. So let's see if we can't push all the way through this yellow zone here and see what happens next on it. But the daily perspective is one thing, and if you're day trading, I would recommend at least looking at the 4 hour. So let's go ahead and look at the 4 hour. On the 4 hour chart, we don't even have anything down here as far as level. So if we look back at when this zone was actually formed here, looks like it was formed on 1/7 of 2010. So we have to go back several years just to get that level. So let's go ahead and push this back here to see if we can't get some perspective on how far back we actually have to go in order to get that level. Alright, so going back 5 years on the 4 hour, here are the fresh levels that come up from right around in, I'm sure right around in that time of well, a few years ago. So looks like that was back in 2009. And let's see about that level down here. This is how we use market memory to give us an edge. So again, 2009, 2010 is what we're looking at there. So as far as these levels coming into play for us, so we're hitting into 1 4 hour time frame. See if we can't bust through it and maybe go down to that daily / 4 hour time frame that we were looking at before. So that's what we see on the Aussie dollar. Okay, looking at gold on our 4 hour time frame, we can see that the low right around on the 31st there looks like it was on a 4 hour zone that was really old, going back to 2009. So very, very interesting that that market memory has once again proved its point as to why this low was where it is. Looking into today and into this coming week, we can see price was bouncing off of this brown zone here several times, and now we're looking at 1285 as far as new supply coming into the market on the 4 hour time frame. So that would be this big level in between these two zones would be looking like our range, and obviously we're making a new high, so we'll continue to watch that and to see what level that holds there. If it does go above that, we are looking all the way up here to the 1300s, down to the 1100s. So just to give you a couple different levels to be watching over the course of this week in case we do get a huge explosion here on gold. Moving over to TLT, or the bonds, obviously we bottomed out here. Looks like we're coming up here on the 4 hour time frame. We have a couple circles here on this market, which more than likely means that that was the range that we were looking at for the up and coming week from last week's video. So looks like we have gone above them. It looks like that was a good level of resistance or support, and we obviously spent a good chunk of time going in between those two levels there. So looks like we have broken up to the upside, so 107 is the next level, all the way up to about 108, and we'll see if the uptrend can continue. But it was really good to see support or a supply being found where that top circle is right here. So let's go ahead and look at it on a daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we are looking again at that area of consolidation right up there. So you can see how price spent some consolidated time. So 108 to 108.73 looks like the daily zone. So kind of confirms what we were looking at on the 4-hour chart too. So hope that helps in that analysis of the bond market. Moving our focus into stocks, here is Amazon. Looks like we have just broken through a daily demand zone that's already had its money bounce on it, and we've just broken the low just by a couple ticks here. So we're going to be looking at the 385 down to 379 level for possibly a second bounce, but we're not going to bank on that. So don't bank on this blue level because we've already received our money bounce off of that level. So this Amazon may be doing exactly what the indexes are doing. So look for support maybe even further on down the rail here as this thing continues to drop and the indexes are continuing to drop here. But just be watching these couple different levels just to see what's going on here. Believe that Google is doing the same thing, so looks like we've found a new high, so we should be drawing in a supply zone here pretty shortly up here at the top, just to identify that area of consolidation. So I think that's where the new supply zone will form, and we're coming down to the bottom of the support area. So watch these two levels this coming week, and possibly a bounce off of right around 1150 as soon as this supply zone actually forms up there, which that's what it looks like it to me. And we'll be watching these different levels here in the future. Actually, I'm going to open up the 4-hour chart too. As we look at this market, you can see the 4-hour zone has already gone in there at the top around that area of consolidation, and that daily zone that I drew in manually looks like it's identifying some good areas of consolidation there too. So we will see how this thing continues to fall. It's a really big wick on today's motion here, so on the 4-hour time frame at least, so that could be a sign of reversal here, or at least a little pause. But extremely big wick up to the upside here on the 4-hour time frame. And last but not least, let's look at Apple. Looks like Apple on the 4-hour time frame has found resistance up here at the 500 to 600 range, and now we are starting to wedge, it looks like. So failing to break the highs, failing to break the lows here most recently. So we are going to be looking for a breakout of that wedge. So we just want to make sure that we know where we are in context of one another. So if we draw a couple trend lines, I think that would be prudent to do here. Obviously we drew a little blue zone here of seeing a flip-flop of support and resistance, or supply and demand. Believe price has kind of gone through that, made a new low below that. Drawing in the trend line from the upside looks something like that, and drawing in the trend line from the downside looks something like that. So obviously I do feel like a wedge is going on. It looks like we've had a move from the down all the way coming back up here. Now we're starting to wedge. So if we refer back to classic price action. And I'm going to let you guys look at all the different patterns, as we do have the Apazone's price action school come up. If we've seen a big move to the upside and then it starts to wedge, what happens next? So there is a classic price action pattern that happens, or that forms from when that actually happens. So I will let you do some research as to what the correct course of action will be, whether it goes up or down. So I do know the answer, but I think the thing that would be helpful is for you to do the research. If we see a pattern, and typically what happens from that pattern, if we see an up move and then a wedge, what will happen next? So uh, that's how I will leave everything today. Hope that this has been helpful, and we will check in again next week as far as what has happened and the levels to be watching on all sorts of stocks, futures, forex, and commodities. So